Okay, so Praveen, just to clarify that, is this something that you are interested to learn about, or is that something a challenge that you are currently facing, or you anticipate that you will face? Um, what is the intention?
First thing, Sachin, I wanted to know I'm interested to know, and sometimes I have undergone this kind of situation, so that I don't wanted to involve in those circumstances. I resist to involve in such kind of situations.
Okay, okay. Just because we are recording and just for everybody else, may I know that what is your role in the organization? What is it that you do?
Sachin, my role is I am the plant HR. I am responsible for HR and admin operation of a plant having 100 employees.
Okay, okay, okay. And in your plant or in your organization, you have millennials working for you as well?
Yes, I have three direct reportees.
Okay, okay, okay. Cool. Good, good. Okay, so then that's good. So that's something which we can go ahead and keep talking. So that's good. Why I ask this question is because if I am talking to a person who is not in that role, then this becomes a very hypothetical and theoretical kind of conversation, because someone who is not facing this challenge or doesn't have this responsibility, their questions will very much come from hypothetical scenarios, or they will just, in order to keep the conversation going, we will just invent scenarios and we will just talk, and that actually is a could be a very nice time pass, but at the end of the day it could just improve your knowledge, but what are you going to do with it? If someone is not in that role, not in that responsibility, accumulating that knowledge could be just an ego booster and nothing more. So that is why I wanted to check before we start the conversation that in which direction we are going. Is this going to be a practical conversation, or is this going to be a hypothetical conversation where we are just going to discuss hypothetical scenarios? And I usually avoid that. I find it not much useful. The good that we have at least one person in the call who has this responsibility. Srini, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Yes, Sachin. Good morning. Good morning, Anamika. Uh,
Good morning.
I mean, currently I'm not directly into HR, but I'm a group head where exactly I'll be dealing with other leaders in terms of sales and also delivery. So
Uh-huh.
for the moment, Sachin, it's for me, being in the call is to understand and or to learn, you know. But I don't have at the moment, maybe because I'm dealing with my personal situation, I'm not. I've taken a kind of a break for a month or so, so I'm not having any such challenges at the moment in at the work. But definitely, I would anticipate this learning will help me in the future.
Okay, okay. That is fine. That's fine, Srini. That is totally understandable. See, at the end of the day, you are saying that you are a group head, and that is there. So, what I meant by this is that at least when you will be asking questions, they will be coming from some kind of practical challenge that you are facing or you anticipate that you will face. But someone who is not in that role, or has not done this role before, their questions could be completely theoretical and hypothetical in nature. and those ones we can just sit here and keep talking about them and do that, which I find quite a time pass kind of an activity. So this is still fine. You, whatever questions you will ask, you will ask from some ground reality. It will have some basis that this is what you anticipate, or this is what you have faced, or maybe other leaders in the organization, you have seen them facing this challenge or talking about it or whatever. So those are worth discussing, those challenges. And that's my intention, to make sure that we stay on the track in this conversation, because I just tend to keep bringing, if we did, go on a tangent, then we'll come back on this track, that let's stay focused, that what is the ground reality right now. Why I say that is because many a times theoretical questions can be very idealistic in nature, and if we have not faced the ground reality, we can ask very idealistic questions, which in practical day to day life, things don't go that way. Many a times we bend our own rules to deal with the situation, and if we have not faced such kind of situations in life, then we tend to be very idealistic. um, so that's the difference. And yeah, cool. So can I ask you, Praveen and Srini, you both, that when we talk about this topic of developing millennial leaders, uh, what exactly interested you to listen about? So, what made you join this call? What did you think that we will talk about? What we will cover?
I think, Sachin, from my perspective, right? So mindfulness or uh, emotional intelligence, I think we apply on our own. Uh, but however, when we are dealing with a set of people, um, maybe, may not be, they have this idea, right? So applying on self is different, or um, dealing the same uh, you know information level with other people, and you know making them to be aware, or making them to inculcate this and get the required results is different. So obviously my interest
That's a
goes
good
that,
point.
yes.
Yes, yes, that's a very good point, and yes, that's
Because
good
when I
point.
apply on myself, it's very easy because it's just me who has to do.
Yes,
But
yes, yes, yes. True. What you're saying is absolutely true. So that's good. Good. Praveen, what about you? What made you join this call today?
Yeah.
Sachin, can I just add one
I
more point? Sorry, I just want to add one more point.
Yeah.
Um, and also the reason is, in kind of a situations, difficult situations in organization or in the conversations, um, managing self is the most difficult thing, and then communicating, and then transforming the other person to understand what we are teaching or what we are expecting is the most difficult thing. So basically, that is a one more additional thing which I would like to learn, Sachin.
Communication, you mean? You want to
Or
learn?
managing the self in the situation where we have to deal with emotional intelligence or mindfulness, right?
Right.
Managing the self is, I find it's difficult,
Yes. Yes.
sometimes.
True. 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 Okay. No problems.
Thank you.
Good. Good. Actually, I was. That's good point that you said that, because I intend to cover that. That's good. Great. Yes,
Thank you,
Praveen,
Praveen. Over to
you
you.
were.
Yeah. Sachin, I wanted to know some steps of solving the problem and making the decisions using mindfulness.
Okay. Okay. Great. That's good. Um, okay. Wonderful. Um, Hi Vinay, welcome. Are you able to speak today? Okay, let's continue. So when we talk about millennial leaders, we talk about an age group that is, as of now, as of 2022, the that age group has reached, they are between the age of 27 to 42, I suppose. These are the people who were born in 1980 till 1999 or 2000. 19, so that's the 20 years of the band in which people who were born, they are termed as millennials. So they are right now within that age group, and most of them, the even the ones who were born in 1980, let's say, have reached a point where they are now reaching senior level management, senior leadership, sorry, middle level, and maybe going towards the senior level leadership soon. So this generation has reached the mid level and the junior level who are there. So the workforce right now has plenty of millennials in there. So the first challenge is to develop the leadership in these people. Many of them have not had this position before, and it's about inculcating the leadership qualities in them. They have not had anyone reporting to them, or this is the first time that they have become leaders. So that is the first challenge. When we talk about this challenge, as Srini was saying that the starting bit, so I feel that to develop leaders, to develop a good leader, things have to start from the self. Before we talk about them becoming good leaders for others, they have to become a grounded human being. And for that to happen, there are certain qualities, certain discipline that people have to develop. Srini, you want to say something?
Mm, sorry, Sachin. No, no.
Okay. So for that to happen, um, they have to develop certain disciplines, certain qualities in themselves, which enable them to become good leaders. So before the focus is on becoming good leaders for others, they have to become a good leader for self. How is that done? The steps that we have been talking about, what are the steps of doing that? So steps are many. There are many different things that can be done, uh, but bare minimum I would say that would be there for everybody to uh, to follow, is to first work on grounding themselves. As Srini mentioned in one of his comments, which is when you are in a conflict situation or when you have to communicate something to others and all that, we talk about how to use emotional intelligence, how to use mindfulness. So until we formulate our question or our query in that kind of language, when someone asks me this, I immediately interpret this thing as it hasn't become your part yet. Because until you ask a question, and I'm not pointing any finger on you, Srini. It's not like that. You asked this, so this has become something to talk about, because it's not only you who said that. I've heard this many times from many people. So in this call, you are the one who said it, but you are like a representative for all those people who say this kind of thing. So take it like that. Um, so this is something, when we say that how do I use emotional intelligence and mindfulness to communicate, what I feel is that homework is not done, right? So if you have done your homework, if you have worked on yourself in the background, then when you are out there, this will not be a question anymore, because you will not be using emotional intelligence and mindfulness to tackle a situation. You will be emotionally intelligent and mindful to tackle the situation. So that's the difference. It is becoming emotionally intelligent and mindfulness, and not using emotional intelligence and mindfulness to tackle a situation. That's the core difference. And the core difference comes by practicing it in your own private time, working in the background, going to the gym. So this is the mental gym that you go to. So you go to that gym every day, and develop this resilience, develop this tolerance, develop this tenacity in the background. So when you are in the situation, you act out of it already. You are not using it as a tool, because if you are thinking of using it as a tool, then you missing the point. You cannot use emotional intelligence and mindfulness as a tool. So until you keep seeing these things as tool, it will not uh, benefit you. It will not work, because they are not tools. They are to work on self. And the idea is to become emotionally intelligent. Idea is to become mindful, and not think of using mindfulness and using emotional intelligence to solve a problem. So I just want to pause here and see that the way I am describing, is it making sense? So I can now build further on this. But before I build further on this, I just want to make sure that, is the message being clear, that it's not about using emotional intelligence and mindfulness, it is about becoming emotionally intelligent and mindful. Is that difference clear?
Absolutely, Sachin. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Unless and until it's not in our subconscious level, I mean, embedded, we're using. So I agree with you.
Yeah, until and unless
Yeah.
it has become part of you, this question will
Yeah.
never go away. No matter how much you do the reading, no matter how much you learn, no matter how much you do things, this question is never going to go away. You will forever in your life keep asking this question: how do I use emotional intelligence and mindfulness when I'm in this situation, communicating to the management, communicating to the this, that, whatever. This question is never going to go away, because you are using the concept in a completely different way, trying to use it in a completely different way. It doesn't work. And the fact that this question is not going away, regardless of how much you know about emotional intelligence and mindfulness, how much you've read about it, how much you understand it, the fact that the question is not going away is your indication, is your hint to stop going on this line of thought. So just stop immediately. You are going on a wrong track. So until you stop yourself, that hard stop, because if you just keep going down this track and keep finding an answer for this, you will not. It's just this as simple as that. The answer is not there where you are going. You have to stop. You have to question that, what is it that I'm missing here? That why this question is not going away in my life? Why I keep asking this? I'm learning so much. I understand so much. Everything I understand, and you yourself said that until it becomes part of our subconscious, you understand all these things. Why is it not then becoming? So then what is missing? If we all understand all these things, then why this question? So both are realities, na, right now, that I understand this very well, and yet I am asking this question. So
Agree, agree.
then what is missing?
Sachin,
Yeah. Hi, Sachin. Can you elaborate with an example because I couldn't able to connect with, I couldn't correlate with the things what you are saying.
Um, I don't know what example can I give. Nothing comes to my mind right now.
For
Anamika, do
example,
you
if you're
have?
saying that I'm understanding that my boss, like my boss is having some stress, that's why that stress is coming to me. So I'm understanding that, but still I have a problem. Like she's not able to understand my situation when it comes to on me also.
Um, so what I'm saying is that uh, if we are looking at emotional intelligence and mindfulness as a tool or as a technique to address problems, like if someone is giving you stress
Mm-hmm.
and you are already getting stressed,
Hmm.
right? And now you are stressed, but now you feel that okay, I now need to apply emotional intelligence and mindfulness techniques to get rid of this stress. So this is like you got headache and now you are taking a pill to get rid of the headache. So you are thinking of um, mindfulness and emotional intelligence as a medicine.
Okay. Okay.
So
Got it. Yeah.
so it's like you are not taking care of your body and you constantly falling sick, and as you fall sick you take medicine and then you recover. So
Yes.
then
That.
you treat mindfulness and emotional intelligence as a medicine. So जब when I will fall sick, I will take this medicine and I will get well. And then you ask, what is the best way of taking this medicine? And I'm saying it's not a medicine. I know that maybe in some situations you feel that it works and but it's not medicine. You work on your immune system.
Okay.
So when you work on your immune system and when you become stronger from inside, then no need for this medicine.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Got it. Thank you. Yeah.
So um, so mindfulness and emotional intelligence can be used as a medicine, like everybody else is trying to use it. But but it's not the intention of this thing. The intention of this thing is that you use it, see it like a immune system booster. So make it part of you. So already become strong. So even if someone is trying to give you stress, you're not taking it anymore. It's not even touching you. So then there is no point in fixing it. So you can see that the other person is stressed and the other person is saying things and all that. But if we are taking it personally, if we are if we are taking it and then trying to get rid of it by using mindfulness and emotional intelligence, you are missing the point. The whole point was to create this shield around you that these things don't even touch you.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. Because sometimes we get with the we get triggered with the situation also and really fall sick, and then again we apply some tricks and then come back to that track.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, is to see these things, see this distinction first, because unless we see the power of what this can do, we will just use it for very smaller problems, to solve very small problems in life, but it can actually be much more. It can actually be a lot more, and we are not seeing the power of it completely, and yet we keep asking this question again and again. So it's like you have like a pot of gold in front of you, and you see it also, you acknowledge it also, and then you just keep saying, I'm poor, I don't know what to do, I don't have any money, I don't have anything. But you also acknowledge that, yeah, I have a pot of gold. So what can anyone do about it? So my objective here is first for you to see this distinction, that if The question, the way you ask a question, that itself is a hint that um, it's not integrating, it's not connecting right now. So the core message first to give is, if you are asking the question how to solve any problem in life using emotional intelligence and mindfulness, my answer would be you're already on the wrong track. That question should not even have been there. If you actually understood what emotional intelligence and mindfulness can do for you, the question would not even be there, that how do I use this medicine the best way. And I'm saying it's not even a medicine. You missed the point. Is this making
Sachin, one
sense?
question.
Yes.
Probably you have answered it in your previous conversation last year. Somewhere I vaguely recollect. Uh, but I don't know. But is there a tool, or is there a matrix, or is there a way to measure uh, mindfulness? Probably you would have answered this, but it would help if you can cover this topic
Um,
as well.
yeah. So once again, I think uh, these questions again indicate the same thing, that
Yeah.
there is, so okay, okay, so you tell me this, I wouldn't tell you this, and I know there are, this answer is very complicated answer, right? I'm not giving a yes or no answer for this thing. Why? Because I also know that there are many people out there, many companies out there who claim to give you assessments and all these things in terms of emotional intelligence and mindfulness. So this is why I'm not giving a yes and no answer. However, I completely disagree with that thing. And why I disagree, I'll ask you yourself, is when do you think someone becomes 100% mindful? What will be that stage? When would you call someone 100% mindful?
He will become a Bhagwan, I think, if he becomes 100% mindful.
So where is the, so I am asking, where is the ceiling? If there is no ceiling, how would you measure? How would you give percentage out of infinity?
Yeah. So, is it good to call this is a journey? This is a transformation. Uh, yeah. Uh,
It's,
where there is a it's infinity, tending to infinity.
if it's infinity, then how do you mathematically, how do you calculate percentage? So if the ceiling is infinity, I give you whatever number, how will you tell me what percentage I am at?
We cannot tell. We can only tell what is it is tending towards. That's it.
Exactly, exactly. This is exactly what I have always been saying, is that we are trying to apply what we know and try to see things. Definitely, you cannot tell how far the person has reached in terms of mindfulness or self-awareness. So even if we break down, emotional intelligence has components of self-awareness and self-regulation. Once again, you tell me, what is the ceiling of self-awareness? What is the ceiling of self-regulation? It doesn't matter how tolerant you become. Can you become 100% tolerant? Can you tell me for sure that now no situation in life can happen that you will become impatient?
No, very tough.
So if it is tough, then why are we even trying to measure it? What is it going to give us? My question is that if we acknowledge this, it's tough. You yourself is acknowledging it is tough. You yourself with common sense can say, then why expect somebody to rate you and tell you? So if it is tough, if it is impossible, then why do we still want to do it? What does it give us? What kind of sadistic pleasure this gives us to put a number or percentage or star rating on this thing? Now, what you can definitely verify is, You can't quantify it. That is for sure. That is what I believe in. This is why I said that the answer is not a plain yes and no, because I know many people are doing it. Many people will give you a report, would do whatever. I don't believe in that. If someone is doing it, it's fine. They are doing it. I know that it's total bullshit. It's of no value. Okay. Now, you cannot quantify this, but you can always qualitatively tell that this person has improved. 3 months ago, 6 months ago, the way this person used to interact, this person used to respond, reply, react to things has changed. Isn't that enough? Why do you have to put a percentage or a star rating on it, that how much? Isn't this enough that you can verify and the person can self verify that yes, I have become more tolerant, yes, I've become more patient, yes, I have, things have started to bug me lesser, yes, I last year this situation would have made me very angry, made me very sad, or very this or very that, and now I see that this happened and I just didn't matter much. It was quite cool. Isn't that enough?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true.
Agree.
So what why insist on measuring metrics, number, percentage, star rating, this, that on something which by common sense we know has no ceiling, it's infinity. What is the highest level you can become self aware? What is the highest level you can become self regulated? What is the highest level of empathy? If you can tell me what is the highest level of empathy, I'll create an assessment to do a percentage measurement for you. I promise I'll do that. But you tell me what is the highest, because I don't know. But if you tell me and I agree, then I'll create an assessment. But right now I don't know what is the ceiling for empathy, what is the ceiling for self awareness. I know it's infinity, and I see complete waste of time to measure someone and give them a star rating or a percentage improvement out of infinity. I don't know what pleasure you will get by knowing that you have traveled 10 steps or 100 steps or 1000 steps or 10,000 steps towards infinity. What pleasure are you going to get out of that? And if the pleasure is that I have traveled these many steps, if that is the pleasure you are going to get, then you don't need me to give you any kind of percentage or anything. You already know you have traveled that many steps. Then just be happy that I have traveled 100 steps now. I have traveled 1000 steps now. I have traveled 10,000 steps now. So you already know. Other people around you would know. And that is why I say that this is a qualitative one. So just be happy with that. That is how it is. Anamika, you want to add anything to this so far?
No, no, Sachin. Nothing to add from my side.
Okay. We got we went on a tangent in our discussion on this, but I think this was a useful tangent because once again, even when we are developing leaders, I suppose one of the questions that would again arise is people who are always very interested in seeing the charts and the reports and all that is, so how we are going. So while I completely agree with this question that it is a very good thing to ask how we going, I am never against measuring progress. I do that myself because I feel that this is a very important thing. Whenever you are doing a goal planning, it is always a good thing to measure progress. I am only questioning the method by which you are measuring the progress, because this is not the method to measure the progress of emotional intelligence and mindfulness. The method is to self evaluate, feel it, Stop relying on charts and numbers to tell you how the person is doing, because you will not get it. Feel it. You are developing these people. Talk to them. You know how this person was 3 months ago, how this person was 6 months ago, now how they are. Observe them, feel it. How hard it is. Why can't you? They are your team members. They are the people you work with. How hard it is to observe them and just say that how they are doing. Why you need numbers and charts and graphs to tell you the progress. So apply other methods to measure the progress, because this method is complete waste of time, not going to give you anything. The problem here is that we have often equated emotional intelligence with the IQ, and because IQ level can be measured and there are tests and all that, we invariably think that EQ can also be measured, and that's the problem. Because we have equated one to the other, and because one is this, therefore the other has to be that. That's our flaw in our logic. So until we see this flaw, these questions will never stop. Okay. Any comment from anyone so far? Praveen, Pradeep, Sridhar, any comment? We need to interact a little
No,
bit.
very valuable point, Sachin. I mean, I felt it like I've written it on few of the things because as I was listening, I becoming enlightened. So, um, very, very, uh, in each word, I think it was so precious when I was listening, to be very honest. Yeah, I
Okay,
think it answered most of my questions, to be very honest.
okay,
And
okay.
and and, and I feel like mantra, we just have to listen to your, you know, this conversation, so it will keep us on track.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea to keep reminding ourselves
Yes,
about this
yes,
thing once in a while,
yes,
because even when we hear this now and then, someone, see, I'll ask you this, that even if you are dealing with other leaders, let's say you understand this, and tomorrow you are talking to your leaders in your organizations who, again, who have not listened to this conversation, they will insist, how do we measure this and all. I ask you, ask them, just the way I asked you this question, ask them the same thing. Can you tell me where is the ceiling for mindfulness? Can you tell me where is the ceiling for self awareness? Can you tell me where is the ceiling for self regulation? If you, out of your own common sense and out of your own wisdom and knowledge, and those leaders have got good life experience and everything, so we are not really talking to 5-year old or 6-year old to ask them. These people will be 50 plus 60 years old leaders, and if in that age they can still not answer this question, then you ask them, then why are you expecting someone to rate somebody out of infinity? What is it that you're going to get? How do you percentage something out of infinity? It's mathematically can't be computed anyway. So exactly what you want to see. And if you want to see the progress, then that's fine. So no issue about seeing the progress, but let's question the method. Let's not just get stuck to the same thing. What metrics, what this, what that. Not all questions can be answered from the same method. So question the method. I'm not questioning the intention of measuring progress, which is very good. Everybody should measure their progress. Whatever goal setting you are doing, whatever initiatives you are putting in place, you should always measure progress. That's a very good thing to do. Question the method. because this method doesn't apply here. Have another method of evaluating. And the simplest method I could suggest to evaluate is just observe and talk to people. Observe them. You will see the change in their behavior. You will see the shift in their behavior. That's your measurement. That's your answer. So people who still keep insisting on percentages and metrics and all that, they're not ready for this thing. That is my answer to them. You're not ready. You keep saying you're ready, but you're not ready because you don't even understand what this thing is. You keep insisting it to become something which it can't. Just for you to fathom, just for you to process, you keep insisting to make emotional intelligence and mindfulness into something which it can't. So they are not ready for it. As simple as that. I'll just say that just stop talking, stop entertaining this when you are not even ready about it. Either, and there is no problem that they are not ready. The problem is not in that. The problem is that people are so self convinced that they know, and they're not even ready to even consider that maybe their understanding about this thing is incomplete or wrong. They are very much convinced that they already know what emotional intelligence is, they already know what mindfulness is, and yet they keep asking these questions, which tells me they have no idea what this means, and yet they will insist that no, they know what it is, and yet they keep insisting they want this kind of matrix, this kind of this. I just plainly and simply refuse to work with them. I just know that they don't know, and it's not something which we could work on because person is not ready to listen, and they made up their mind, and they are asking me to produce something which is impossible for me to produce, impossible for anyone to produce. If someone is producing it, then they are just taking advantage of your ignorance. If someone can produce charts for you and all these things for you, they are taking advantage of your ignorance because you don't know, and you keep insisting them to produce it, and they'll produce it, and they will charge their fees or whatever to do this and all that. They say they're just taking advantage of your ignorance. So question all that, that why so stuck on making emotional intelligence and mindfulness be something where while it can be lot more.
Hello.
Yes, Sridhar,
Yeah, am I clearly audible to you?
you are.
Yeah, I just want to ask one question. I can understand now. I got clear idea about not taking all these things on the percentage or any scale level. Just that thing. But I just want to add one thing that even in this process of being emotionally intelligent and all other things, rather than reacting to things, just to give the response of for the things with emotional intelligence and all those things. But for me, as I can observe throughout these years, I can see that even you are getting better and better for reacting to the or responding to the things in your life or in your career. There is some we can say that 1%. Also, again, I am not scaling it 1% or 10%. It is, but when the situations comes, like any of the situation for reacting in the sense of anger or in the sense of fear, all other things. So that 1% is always been there for me. I'm because in the past days when I was to supposed to react within a second, then after evolving or getting the idea of being calm and all other things, I can say that I don't react that much frequently on also that much aggressively. But that 1% of thing of anger, or you can say like fear, then jealousy, that remains within you. You cannot and true to be yourself, you don't show up that those things to the people. You know, people are not getting those things visible from you, but you yourself clearly know that 1% of 1% remains within you. When the situation comes, at that moment you feel that fear, you feel that anger, you can feel that jealousy. But after that, from you have developed some kind of mechanism to get away from those feelings and uh, focus on what is important for that. That is actually fine. But I have made peace with that 1% actually. When those things come, initial times I was supposed to fight against them. How should I get rid of those things? How these feelings are getting evolved again, even within the 1%. But now I have made a peace. Like, if those things are coming, let it be. I am getting nervous. Okay, no, fine. I will find out the main way or main solution for that. So, from your point of view, I just want to know that should I go on solving that 1%, or it is better to keep that 1% as it is at that point and getting out more of from whatever 99% I have reached, or so whatever the percent I'm getting to get my job done. So is it necessary to fight against that 1% also?
Mm, interesting way you put it. Um, so the answer to your question,
Sachin, one more question,
yeah,
adding what Sridhar is saying. So sometimes what happens is the reason why I asked this question, the measurement, right? Sometimes we know it. We uh, keep telling these things to ourselves on a regular basis, reminding ourselves, making aware, making aware of ourselves about this knowledge. But somewhere that I think he rightly put it that 1%. So in my case, that 1% sometimes led into a big conflicts, big issues. Um, and I keep wondering, in spite of knowing this, in spite of being aware of this, why I landed into this kind of situation. So probably that was my a precursor question to understand how do I know or where do I stand in terms of having this awareness. But as you said, like being 100%, reaching 100% goal on this, something probably not achievable. We being humans, we make mistakes, and then and in my case, very very uh, you know clearly to say that because of this 1%, uh, we land into situations, conflicting situations.
yeah, uh, true. So I can I can say one thing based on this, what I have heard so far, and you can correct me, Sridhar, if that is not. Before I answer too much, I'll ask you one thing. The, you have learned to deal
Yes.
with these situations in life, which it seems like that you have done it on your own, as in like life has given you situations and opportunities, and you have developed this tolerance level, and whatever level you have reached is what you have developed yourself. So this is totally a DIY kind of work that you have done. I am assuming that you don't have any particular role model or any particular master that you follow who has actually guided you to reach here. Am I right or not?
Beforehand, I used to get the help of those masters and following some people. But after also, I'm not properly following anyone, exactly anyone that I'm going by way of this one and this person. I'm just I can say that I'm not evolved and all other things, but just situations taught me a few things, that how to deal with them.
I know.
One example,
That was my question. That do you have a master to guide you? Simple question.
no,
Yes or no?
no,
No,
no.
because the way you are describing this whole thing, I am already getting that.
Yeah.
Same thing I'll ask Srini. Srini, do you have a master to guide you? Srini, you are on mute.
Sorry, Sachin. Sorry.
Uh,
No,
do you have a
Sachin. No,
master to guide you?
no.
Exactly. I knew this, and that is the reason why your question is coming, because it's a very natural question, and this question will come because you are self-guided, and with the self-guidance, you don't know where you are heading, what it is, and also very natural question, and you are going by yourself, and see. Um, It's like having a machine gun and trying to kill a mosquito with the machine gun. So sometimes the bullet hits. So you get where you want to get. So it's like that. But the amount of energy you are wasting in this is draining. And this question that is coming is coming because you feel the lack of direction, the misguiding is there. Um, So that is the thing to solve here. The problem is not for me to answer this. The question that you have asked, I can answer that question. It's going to be of no use for you. It will be just a mental kind of exercise for you to have this answer. What I say, um, what I would actually tell you, the real answer to this question that you asked is when you have a master to guide you, this question itself will drop. It's not even about the answer. If the answer satisfies you, it's still not the right track. The question has to drop. The question will only drop when you take guidance from a master. And in your case, both of you, my suggestion is, once again, don't just follow someone and only read their books and watch their YouTube videos and all that, because that is not a guidance I'm talking about. That will be your interpretation again. So if you are not able to interact with the person, it's not for you. So at this stage in life where you both are, and maybe others in the call, at this stage in life where you are, you need a person. You need a person to guide you. You need someone who you can interact with, who you can clarify, and they can verify, and they can make sure that you are on the right track, asking the right questions, chasing the right questions, getting the right answers, not running behind anything and any question and everything that comes to your mind. So that is the job of a guide, that will keep you on track, that will sort out that this question is good. Because understand one thing, there are stupid questions. People say there are no stupid questions. That bullshit. There are stupid questions, and you can waste a lot of time and energy chasing them. So understand, there are stupid questions, and don't waste your energy behind every question, and you will not know this. So for this reason, you would need a guide, you would need a master who will tell you this is a stupid question, stop chasing it. They will give you the right question. A guide will not give you an answer. A guide will give you a question, because it is your job to find the answer. Whatever answer your master has found is their answer. Your master's answer is not your answer. So stop asking answers from them. Make sure you ask, am I chasing the right question? Is this the right question? Just verify this and then chase the right question. Right now you are chasing anything and everything, any question that comes in your mind, because you are in a DIY style. So nobody is there to sort it out for you. Nobody is there to filter it out for you. Nobody is there to say, this is a stupid question, stop going down this track. Nobody is there to say that. This is why your questions are coming like this. So my simple answer to your question, which is not a direct answer, is get a master. You have done enough DIY. Wherever you have reached is good. I am not saying that. I think stop running by yourself. So get a master and make sure that they can guide you with the right questions. Don't get involved with someone who will just hand feed you with answers. And don't also go looking for answers. Don't ask someone answers. Ask someone what is a good question to follow. Find your own answers. Have confidence on your own self that you can find the answers. You can always discuss whatever answers you're finding and all that. But never ever ask anybody for answers, because they are their answers. They have earned it. They have done the work. They have done the hard work to realize, to experience and get those answers. It is theirs. For you, anybody's realization is only going to be information for you. Nothing more. No matter how much like no matter how deeply I try to describe to you how a mango tastes like, it will never become your experience. Never ever become your experience. I can write a 1,000-page book on it to explain how tasty a mango tastes. You can read it 10 times. You will still not know what a mango tastes like. So never make anybody's answer your answer. It can never be. It can only be information for you. Their realization is their realization. They have experienced it, and they can probably tell you all this to inspire you. So take it as an inspiration. Take their answer as an inspiration that wow, this sounds good. I would also like to experience. But never be satisfied with their answer and make it your experience. That now I know. You know, but you have not experienced it. It's a big difference. So find your own answer and just make sure that someone is there to guide you to say, stop chasing these stupid questions. Does that make sense?
Yes, Sachin. So you mean that all these questions that are not getting clear answers for me are
Yeah.
I should not waste
You
more
are
time on.
correct. You are wasting time on a question which is never going to be answered. Is this whatever
No, actually, the
what you say?
exact thing happened. Exact that thing happened with me for so long time when situation happens, and for that point of second and point of some time, like where you can say that if any situation comes, I will go on in a fear mode for 1 to 2 hours. I don't say for any particular situation that is different. So after a few times when I'm struggling with that question, got this question. Do I need to struggle with this question to find out the answer? Then at some particular time I thought, no, I don't have to struggle and fight with this question. Better to invest that energy and time finding another answers of my whatever the questions I'm having with my life. So I kept that question away and gone with the life, all other question, all other things I that are more important for me.
Okay, good, good. So now you have done this, and I said that you have experienced this. That how important it is to chase the right question. Now what I'm
Exactly.
saying is that whatever question you are going to come up with, you are going to come up with from your own reality and perception. So based on what you know or what you don't know, your questions are going to be based around that only. You cannot ask a question out of a complete different reality, because you have not touched it, you have not seen it, you don't even know that reality exists. And for that reason, You cannot ask those questions. It's impossible for you to even fathom that and ask that question. And and
Right.
that is where a master comes into picture, where
Right.
they would tell you, stop this. So this question, which may appear to be very valuable and everything for you, all of a sudden it just becomes nothing, because this is replaced by a much better question, and now answer doesn't even matter. It's of no use, because whether you get it or not get it, it doesn't matter. You have a better question now. You are chasing something much better.
Right. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So why I said that is because you were talking about this 1% or 99%, that this fear is there. Should I work on it and all that? Um, One day you'll realize that it's just, there is no such thing. This doesn't even matter. The association you have with all this is has to change. Um, this doesn't even matter, because the association you have with fear or whatever you calling it is not how it is. So
Right. Right.
the more you, it's like it's like the horizon, right? So the horizon might seem like, oh, it's only 100 steps away, but as you take 100 steps, it goes 100 steps away again, and just oh, it's another 100 steps, or it's just over there, like you can just touch it, you feel like that you can just touch it. If you are traveling in the sea, then you might see that, okay, this, it seems like maybe 10 kilometers away, maybe 20 kilometers or 100 kilometers away, or whatever. You can just put a number to it, and you can just see, oh, it's just there. And then as you travel that much, you see, oh, it's gone further again. And as you go towards it, it's gone further. It's like that. It's like that. This 1% that you talk about, that 1% will never go away. That
Right.
1% is illusion. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. That is
That
actually expanding more and more.
there was a story that this reminds me. I heard this story. This is a Krishna story, and one day Krishna was very naughty, and he's doing a lot of mischiefs and is being very naughty. So his mother gets very upset with him, and then very upset that this today you are just extraordinary naughty. So I, and people are complaining, all the villagers are complaining and all that. So she decides that I'm going to tie you up in the sun, and today that is your punishment. That whole day when you will be burning in the sun, then you will realize that all these pain that you are causing to other people, how they feel. So she goes and she brings a rope, and she tries to tie him, and then the rope is about 2 fingers short. So then she goes and get another bigger rope, and as she is about to tie the knot, it's again 2 fingers short. And she goes get another rope, again 2 fingers short. More large rope, again 2 fingers short. So it doesn't matter how big rope she brings, it's always just 2 fingers short only. And now she's freaking out. What is happening? So she's just totally freaks out. That doesn't matter how long rope she brings, it's always 2 fingers short. And then as she's freaking out, and now when she was angry, and now that anger is gone, now she's freaking, totally freaked out. What is going on? And then at that time Narad Muni appears, and he calms her down and says, this this is not a boy, this is everything. You are trying to tie up everything. This is universe, this is whatever you call it, multiverse, Brahman, whatever. This is not one, this is not a boy. And Rishi Muni have spent their entire life to tie him up, and they can't. And you are trying to tie up a whole universe in a rope. It will always be short, it will never be enough. You cannot do anything, that it will always never be enough, and you can't tie. And then she realizes, and then Krishna, he just picks up one of the ropes and he ties himself. and says only he can tie himself. Nobody can tie this. No rope is big enough to tie him. It will always be short. That is what you are trying to do.
Right.
In your mind, it's 1%. It's that 2 fingers short. No matter what you do, it will always be 2 fingers short.
Exactly. The best example ever I got. Thank you, Sachin.
Cool. Anamika, you have anything to say?
Um, no, no. I mean, today's conversation is completely on a different tangent. So I'm not getting a lot of thing in my head to say, but one sentence because he used the word fear. And one sentence, I had a wallpaper a long time back which said that feel the fear and do it anyway. Okay, so what happens that whenever we get these kind of emotions, so all the dense emotions that we get, they are basically driven by fear. So they can be different kinds of fear, but it is fear itself. So when it comes to fear, we get engrossed in it and we become our emotions. We become fear, and then we are not able to move forward. So in a gist, what I have experienced that in when you become more mindful and you become more emotionally intelligent, you see that fear, okay, and you see that fear not becoming the subject of fear, not becoming the fear itself, but keeping yourself out of the fear, seeing it objectively. Yes, the fear is there, the fear is already there, and but I am objectively now observing it. So becoming mindful is not just about becoming mindful of the environment. वो तो है ही, mindful of the environment तो है ही, what is going on of the situation that is there, but it is also internal in nature, that you're aware कि हाँ fear तो है. Now taking into account the fear also, and taking into account how the fear is grasping me so tight and the whole situation, and you when you act objectively, keeping yourself out of the situation as a third person, when you observe it, then you are able to rationalize that, okay, this is what needs to be done, and this is what I'm going to do. So I had that wallpaper for a very long time in my on my laptop, and it said, "Feel the fear, feel it completely, but you don't become the feeling. You don't become the fear itself that it holds you so tight, right?" So it's like just Krishna's story with Sachin told that um, it is about keeping yourself out and seeing things the way they are, and you're not fighting anymore. You're not fighting with your fear, and you're not fighting कि अभी इसको कैसे solve करना है. अभी ये तो है, and let's see where it goes. I'm not trying to change anything or do anything with it per se. I'm just observing, and in that space when you're there, that is what actually becoming emotionally intelligent is, that you're there and you're there aware of everything, and then you still go on. So when Krishna's mother, she would have come out of it, and she would be now, as Narad Muni gave her a perspective, a third person perspective, and she would be able to now see that, yes, I mean, I cannot hold on to this, I cannot do anything with this. Now what am I supposed to do? Okay, so I am not going to give an answer of what she's supposed to do. It is about you. It is about you, bringing that Narad Muni inside and objectively seeing things in a different way. That what am I trying to do? I'm trying to hold the whole thing in a rope. So what is it that I'm doing? So uh, this is all I had to say. Yeah.
Great.
Yes,
That's
Anamika.
good. So
Thank you.
that's wonderful. You mentioned that, Damika, that is the role of a master or a guide or a guru is what just Narad Muni did to Yashoda is give that perspective. So she was struggling, and out of whatever wisdom she had and whatever knowledge she had, based on that, whatever she could do, she was doing that, and she was getting very frustrated and getting nowhere and getting freaked out. So Now in that mode, maybe if Narad Muni would not have come, after freaking out a lot, she may have calmed down and not freaked out, or maybe just managed her emotions or whatever, right? Then we will say, okay, now she's becoming more emotional. But the lack of perception was still there. What Narad Muni explained to her or gave her, she could not have figured that out by herself. So
Of
that
course.
is that is what I meant, that the guru, what reality, what they see, if that it doesn't exist for you, no matter how much you force yourself, you will not come up with that perception. And that is why you need that kind of entity in your life that can show you. And once you hear that perception, your questions drop. Now she is not looking at how can I get a much bigger rope, and how do I manage my emotions, and what is it. The questions drop. She just get a different perspective, and all of a sudden her whole mind shift changes. How do you measure that? How do you put a
Of course.
matrix on that? What
Indeed. And
percentage?
at that point of time, if she would have told Narad Muni that Narad Muni, you're just wasting my time, I'm busy finding the rope, then she wouldn't have got that perspective. So when we say the master, it's
Or, or if she says, yeah, I know all this, but let me still find a bigger rope.
yeah.
What, like
First, let me finish
most
what I'm
people,
doing, then I'll talk to you.
most people go like that. Now you share something, yeah, I know this, but how do I? I say, but then you don't know this. If you are still asking me this question, and you are saying, I know this, but then how do I do this? Then
Yes.
you don't. If she says, yeah, I know Krishna is all, everything, and she is universe, and yeah, but I need to find a bigger rope.
Yeah. So now I'll go on finding a rope as big as a universe. So it's gonna take lifetime. So that is what being emotionally intelligent is, I guess. That, finding that master is not just about, the physical entity. The physical entity you can find that physical entity, but it is also important that are you allowing it? Are you even listening to it? Okay, so it can, and it is always there. There is a master which is there, okay, which are always on the way. But the problem is that people don't see it. People don't listen to it. People don't listen to the actual thing which is going on because they are so engrossed in the emotions that वो हो ही नहीं रहा है, वो objectively उस situation को देख ही नहीं पा रहे हैं. So it is first important that we ask ourselves, are we ready to even listen to those messages and to those cues and those quirks which are actually going on? तो हम हमेशा इंस्टेंट ग्रेटिफिकेशन का ये जो जमाना है उसमें वी ऑलवेज ट्राई टू फाइंड शॉर्टकट, मतलब ये जल्दी खत्म होना चाहिए. ये जो प्रॉब्लम है अभी जल्दी से रोप ढूंढनी है और जल्दी से कृष्ण को बांधना है. व्हाई हम do we even see the role of Krishna? Do we even see the problems? Do we even see what it means, what it is that we are trying to handle? So the master, the cues from the master are everywhere. They can be in the form of a person, they can be in the form of just anything, anything. But the bigger question is that, am I listening to it? Am I ready? Am I ready? If let's suppose Sachin is our master here. So Sachin तो बहुत सारी चीजें अभी बोल देंगे. The bigger thing is that, are we listening to it? Or are we even getting what he's saying? So even Arjun, for when Krishna recited the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, and it took him 7 years to actually get a grasp of it, because he was so messed up at that point of time कि वो तो situation में ही इतना engrossed था महाभारत में, लड़ाई में and everything. मैसेज तो वही है, कृष्ण वही है, सब कुछ बता भी दिया, कृष्ण ने तो पूरी भगवत गीता रिसाइट कर दी. बट बिकॉज अर्जुन इतना फंसा हुआ है अपने आप में ही, इतना बैटल फील्ड ऑन है, वो सुनेगा कैसे? It took him 7 years to even listen to those cues. So also that I am I ready to listen to the master? So when you're ready, it will just appear in front of you.
True, true. That's very true. And taking that conversation, this point forward, is the biggest master that you will find to guide you is your own intuition. That will guide you. But having said that, don't worry about it right now because you are not ready for it. Your intuition is always speaking, but you're not listening, and you have no idea how to get in tune with that. And the only thing that will take you towards your own intuition is by you first surrendering to a master outside. When you have surrendered to a master outside, when you have known how to listen to a master, how to go to a guru, how to get the guidance and all that, then one day you will not need them. One day they will not be required. It's not that their value has diminished or whatever. No, the work of that master is finished. So you will not need them anymore. Then you will completely rely on your own intuition. Your intuition will guide you, and that will be the best thing to do. But right now, it will not happen. As first step, it will not happen. So for you to come back to yourself, you have to go on this journey.
Yes,
You cannot
Sachin.
bypass it.
Yeah, actually.
Cool. All right. I think whatever we discussed today was quite valuable as well, although not as to the point of what the topic was, but that doesn't matter. I feel that it was still a good discussion, and perhaps this one was more important to be talked about today in this group than the original agenda, so I don't really mind. I feel that whatever we talk is appropriate for whoever has joined today and what they needed to hear. So, um, although we didn't talk about the actual topic, but I feel this is what was supposed to be talked today. So we actually talked the right thing anyway. Anything from
Absolutely.
anyone to say before we wrap up? Anamka, any last things you want to say? Anyone
No,
wants to say
no. I
anything
would
before
love
we?
to hear from, people, Pradeep, Jaspreet, Pravin, Shrini.
Yeah, everyone, can you just like make last closing comment before we wrap up? So everyone can just say one thing. So how was it? How was the conversation for you today? Although it was quite off tangent to the original topic, but how was it for you?
Sachin, I mean, I agree. It was not tangent, but however, this was the foundation. Probably, if in coming week, if we continue discussing on this, I think probably this foundation, this clarity, was much required to discuss anything further. For me, every single word you told, it's so. I felt so precious. Yeah, I made some of the notes so that I keep telling it to myself. So like a mantra, so that you know, somewhere I on the path of uh, empowering myself with my own science. So probably I'll be obviously I will not be measuring, but definitely it helps me to be be in the journey.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Thanks, Shane. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Shane. Pradeep, Jaspreet, Praveen, Sridhar, can you give last comments before we wrap up? So let's just quickly.
Yeah, today's session was quite good in laying down the foundation of this going ahead for this content. So I think so that was very more enlightenment it was, and I think so we will love to go forward for more techniques and methodology for to learn about it more.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jaspreet. Praveen, you
Yeah.
wanted to say something?
Certain, indeed, it was a very good discussion, but still, I have one question. If you could able to answer, if time permits. See, for a leader, many skills are required in organization, like communication, problem solving, blah blah blah. So, being a mindfulness, okay. So, these skills automatically come, or we need to deliberately put some efforts to acquire the skills required for a leader.
Yeah.
So just
So
I
that's a
wanted to know
good,
your opinion.
yeah. So my opinion, this is a good question, and my opinion on this is that these skills automatically come. So most of the time, people are adults, right? It's not that they don't know how to talk. They know how to talk. They know how to communicate. So most of the time, I have uh, realized this. Again, not 100%. Many people are required to be taught that also. But majority of the time, I have seen this, that it is not that someone is not able to communicate. There is always some hesitation or resistance because of which they are not communicating. So often, if we address those resistance and hesitations, communication flows, um, and 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 it flows very naturally. So people know how to talk. Yeah, it's not that people are in general. If someone is at that level in a company, or they have reached that level, or they have navigated life, they are all educated people. They have navigated their life and all that. So generally speaking, people know how to communicate. It is that they are afraid that if they will say this, how the other person will react, how they will see them, about they are protecting their image, they are protecting this, that. So they are hesitant, they are resistant. So addressing that is what we do in terms of emotional intelligence and mindfulness. So this is where I have often said that we are not in the space of doing soft skills trainings and all that. Although I don't disagree, sometimes those skills are required, but they are superficial skills. So without addressing the underlying resistance and hesitation, we are just assuming the other person doesn't know, and we are trying to polish the behavior side of things. Often these things don't give you much in return, because people will go and attend these trainings, but then they will come back and they will still not talk, because it wasn't that they didn't know how to talk and what it is, but they were hesitant. And if you are just trying to teach them how to be more inauthentic, how to hide it even better by doing these communication trainings and all that, you're not doing any favor. So addressing those issues internally, that why someone is hesitant, why they are resisting, what is it about the other person, is it about the self, what it is that is there. So creating that environment for them, creating that contemplation environment for them, giving them, facilitating this thing for them, that think about it, and giving them this opportunity to reflect back, to introspect what it is, and then try to address those things, communication will flow. You just clear the, जैसे होता है ना, पाइप में कुछ कचरा फंसा हुआ है, तो वो कचरा निकाल दो तो पानी अपने आप अच्छी तरह से फ्लो होने लगेगा. तो just remove that, remove the hurdles, don't focus on communication, try this. 80% people will be fine. 10-20% people, you still might need to send them to communication training to help them to become better communicators and all that. I don't disagree with that, but even they will benefit more from those trainings, because now you have removed the hesitations and resistance for them. So they will benefit more from those trainings. Unless you remove the hesitations and resistance, none of these things are going to give any result. It's just a temporary thing. It doesn't even fix anything. It's just people just forced कि उनको जाके वहाँ बैठना है, वो ट्रेनिंग अटेंड करनी है, किसी ने बोला है उनको केपीआई में एक टिक बॉक्स करना है कि मैंने ये ट्रेनिंग अटेंड की है, नहीं तो मेरे को परफॉर्मेंस रिव्यू के टाइम पे प्रॉब्लम होगी, इसलिए मेरे को जाके बैठना है, करना है. हिडन एजेंडा उनके कुछ और ही हैं, हिडन प्रॉब्लम्स कुछ और ही हैं. सो इट्स नॉट कि दे आर नॉट एबल टू कम्युनिकेट. अगर उनका मैनेजर या जिसके बारे में उनको बात करनी, अगर वो ही क्लोज, अगर वो ही उनको जज कर रहा है, वही उनको ठीक से रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं कर रहा है, कितनी ट्रेनिंग पे आप भेज दो, वो नहीं बात करेंगे, क्योंकि वो जिस बंदे से उनको प्रॉब्लम है वही तो, दैट इज़ द प्रॉब्लम ना. तो कुछ भी कर लो आप, वो होगा ही नहीं. So this is an emotional intelligence and mindfulness problem. It is not a communication problem.
Okay, Sachin, got it.
All right. Pradeep, anything from you? You haven't said anything.
Pradeep, you can
सचिन,
discuss about your things.
ओके ओके ओके। अच्छा सचिन, आपका ठीक है, समटाइम्स इन ए टीम सम टीम मेंबर्स आर एरोगेंट, हाउ टू हैंडल देम? इफ वी अगर हम उनको फ्रैंकली बोल दे कि ये प्रॉब्लम है तो और एरोगेंट हो जाएंगे, एंड इट विल बिकम वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू गेट द वर्क डन फ्रॉम देम।
तो ये जो एरोगेंस का लेबल किसने डाला है उनके ऊपर? हाउ डू यू डिसाइड समवन इज एरोगेंट?
हमने यस,
किस बेसिस पे?
ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ बाय ऑब्जर्विंग देम।
मतलब क्या वो तो ऑब्जर्व क्या किया आपने?
एटीट्यूड, बिहेवियर,
मतलब क्या
अंडर,
क्या है उसमें
इन
क्या?
केस ऑफ स्ट्रेस हाउ दे रिएक्ट।
तो मेरे को मान लो, मेरे को नहीं, लेट्स आंसर दिस, मेरे को नहीं पता कि किसी को एरोगेंट कैसे लेबल करते हैं, और मैं
ओके
आपके
ओके।
पास क्लास लेने के लिए आ रहा हूँ और मैं आपसे सीखना चाह रहा हूँ कि मेरे को ना किसी को, हाउ डू आई आइडेंटिफाई कि समवन इज एरोगेंट? तो मेरे को आप क्या सिखाओगे? कैसे मैं
ओके
क्या ऑब्जर्व कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे? क्या एटीट्यूड और वो सब तो ठीक है, लेकिन मुझको थोड़ा मतलब ये बताओ ना, कुछ क्लूज तो दो ना कि क्या मतलब क्या एटीट्यूड?
नहीं नहीं सचिन ठीक है, समटाइम्स इफ आई आर गिविंग द वर्क टू समवन या समवन इज
नहीं,
नॉट
पहले मेरे
बिहेविंग
को ये
प्रॉपर्ली।
आंसर करो, पहले ये वाला क्वेश्चन आंसर करो, बाद में उसके ऊपर मैं आता हूँ। पहले ये आंसर करो, बिकॉज दीज आर लिंक्ड।
ओके,
पहले टीच मी हाउ टू लेबल समवन एरोगेंट, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली डू आई नीड टू डू?
एरोगेंट मींस नॉट रिप्लाइंग प्रॉपर्ली या इन ए रूड वे।
व्हाट इज रूड?
या मोस्ट, नॉट ओनली विद यस, इवन अदर टीम मेंबर्स या इवन अदर ऑफिस कलीग।
हाँ, आप अपना करके बताओ ना कि व्हाट इज रूड टू यू। कैसे कैसे कोई आपको रिप्लाई करेगा कि आपको लगेगा कि ये रूड है? मतलब क्या है रूड का मतलब क्या है?
हाँ ओके।
आपकी ईगो हर्ट हो गई?
नहीं 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 नहीं
फिर
नहीं नहीं।
क्या से रूड का मतलब क्या हुआ? किसी ने आपकी ईगो हर्ट की तो रूड है? क्या रूड क्या है?
रोड मीन्स बंदे को काम दिया है, उसने काम प्रॉपर्ली नहीं किया, या
हाँ,
काम को बोला है भैया आपका ये काम 2 आवर में होना है, वो नहीं हो पा रहा है, या काम नहीं कर रहा है, या मरने काम करने से मना कर रहा है,
हाँ,
या प्रॉपर्ली रेस्पॉन्ड नहीं कर रहा है।
हाँ।
या
तो
ठीक है, उस चीज को आंसर कर सकता है, प्रॉपर्ली आंसर कर सकता है।
तो
हेज
आपको
मतलब
ईगो
आपका,
हर्ट हुई ना उससे?
उसको एरोगेंटली थोड़ा सा, सी हेज आंसरिंग इन नॉट इन अ प्रॉपर वे।
नॉट इन अ प्रॉपर वे का वही तो मतलब हुआ ना कि आपको कहीं ना कहीं अपनी रिस्पेक्ट हर्ट हुई आपकी, आपको लगा कि मेरे से इस तरह से बात नहीं करनी चाहिए, इस तरह से इग्नोर नहीं करना चाहिए, तो कहीं ना कहीं ईगो हर्ट हो रही है ना आपकी।
ओके।
Ego, can I add on this for these perspective? For example, if his boss is expecting some work, then he cannot say no to that work. He will try to finish, and to some extent he will deliver it. But his team member doesn't listen to him, and they upfrontly say no to that work and say we will see it later after 2 days time. So I think so that makes him hurt about it. Like
करेक्ट, करेक्ट। तो यहाँ पे इशू क्या हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है इशू यहाँ पे? सी, दिस इज अ वेरी गुड एग्जाम्पल यू हैव गिवन
ओके
कि प्रदीप इज सेइंग यस वेयर ही वांट्स टू से नो,
absolutely
राइट?
yes, yeah.
तो और उनके टीम मेंबर जब उनको ऑथेंटिकली नो बोल रहे हैं तो उनको हर्ट हो रहा है। हर्ट क्यों हो रहा है? क्योंकि उन्होंने खुद नो बोलना नहीं सीखा है।
ओके
तो यहाँ पे उन्होंने खुद हेल्दी बाउंड्रीज अपनी सेट नहीं की हुई हैं। उनको, आपको नो बोलने में इशू आता है किसी को, लेकिन जब आपसे कोई नो बोलता है तो आपकी ईगो हर्ट हो जाती है, क्योंकि आपको ये लगता है कि मेरे से कैसे ऐसे बोल दिया, मैं तो नहीं बोलता किसी से।
ओके।
बट ये
तो यहाँ
होता
पे
नहीं ना, नो आप बॉस को बोल ही
सचिन,
नहीं सकते
वी आर
ना।
वर्किंग इन ए
पर
प्राइवेट
उनके भी तो,
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, वी
पर
कैन नॉट
उस
से नो
उनके भी
टू।
तो, आपके भी तो सबॉर्डिनेट्स ने आपको नो बोल दिया ना।
सचिन वो एरोगेंट है तो डज नॉट मीन कि हम भी एरोगेंट हो जाएं,
नहीं, ये
वो रूड है
आपकी
डज नॉट मीन कि हम
डेफिनेशन
भी
है
रूड
ना
हो जाएं।
एरोगेंस की, ये आपकी डेफिनेशन है
ओके
एरोगेंस की। हाँ, मैं
ओके।
वही तो बोल रहा हूँ। आप मेरे से पूछ रहे हो या मुझे बता रहे हो, मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा।
अच्छा अच्छा, यस मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ।
हाँ, तो पूछ रहे हो तो मैं जो आपको बता रहा हूँ वो आप कंसिडर कर लो। मैं आपको ये नहीं, मैं आपके ऊपर इम्पोज नहीं कर रहा हूँ। कुछ,
हम्म
राइट? आप ये टोटली आपके ऊपर है कि आपको इस पे रिफ्लेक्ट करना है या नहीं करना है। तो मैं तो आपको सिर्फ दिखा रहा हूँ कि मेरे को क्या दिख रहा है यहाँ पे, दो
ओके
सिचुएशन, ठीक है?
ओके
अब मैं यहाँ पे कुछ आपको ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि अब आप जाके ऐसे ही करो। आपको लग रहा है कि मेरी बात सही नहीं है तो आप उसको छोड़ दो, देर इज़ नथिंग, क्योंकि मेरी लाइफ में थोड़ी कोई प्रॉब्लम होने वाली है, मुझे थोड़ी कोई फ़र्क पड़ेगा। तो
यस
आई एम सेइंग कि एक आपका बॉस है और आप किसी के बॉस हो,
हम्म
ठीक है? तो आप बोल रहे हो कि कॉर्पोरेट में तो ऐसे नहीं होता, बट हो तो रहा है ना, आप ही की टीम में तो हो रहा है। कॉर्पोरेट में क्या,
यस
आप ही की कंपनी में आप ही के नाक के अंडर हो रहा है। आपका जो जूनियर है वो आपको तो जवाब दे रहा है, तो आप सुन रहे हो, आप जवाब नहीं दे रहे हो, आप मेरे को बोल रहे हो कॉर्पोरेट में ऐसे नहीं। तो कैसे नहीं होता है? आपसे नहीं हो पा रहा है वो अलग बात है, पर ये बोलो कि
ओके
ऐसे नहीं होता है तो ये थोड़ी बात हुई। हाँ,
ओके
ये बोलो मेरे से नहीं हो पा रहा है तो वो मैं बात मान लूंगा। आप बोल रहे हो
ठीक है
कॉर्पोरेट में ऐसा नहीं होता और खुद ही एग्जाम्पल मुझे दे रहे हो होने का, और मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ तो आप बोल रहे हो कि ऐसे नहीं, तो मुझे, तो व्हाट इज इट,
यस
राइट? हो तो रहा ही है ना, कॉर्पोरेट में भी हो रहा
हम्म
है, आपका जूनियर आपको जवाब देता है, आप सुन लेते हो। आपको वो रूड लगता है, एरोगेंट लगता है, जो भी लगता है, पर आप सुन रहे हो।
हम्म
पर आप नहीं कर पा रहे हो अपने बॉस के साथ, क्योंकि आपने इस पूरी चीज़ को लेबल कर दिया है एरोगेंस।
ओके
इस पूरी चीज़ को आप हेल्दीली अगर ये देखो कि दीज आर हेल्दी बाउंड्रीज समवन इज सेटिंग,
ओके
आप जब तक इसको एरोगेंस की तरह देखते रहोगे तब तक कोई करेगा तो आपको प्रॉब्लम होगी और आप कर भी नहीं पाओगे,
यस
क्योंकि आपने
ओके
इसको एरोगेंस की तरह ले लिया है कि ये एरोगेंस है।
ओके
जबकि इसको एरोगेंस की तरह देखने से नुकसान आप ही को हो रहा है,
ओके
क्योंकि आपको जहाँ पे ना बोलने की ज़रूरत है आप वहाँ ना नहीं बोल पा रहे हो,
हम्म
और जब आपको कोई ना बोलता है तो आप सुन नहीं पा रहे हो,
हम्म
क्योंकि आपने इस पूरी चीज़ को एरोगेंस का नाम दे दिया है। अगर आप इस पूरी चीज़ को हेल्दी देखो कि हेल्दी है, किसी को नहीं करना है, नहीं कर पा रहा है, उसने मेरे को ऑनेस्टली बोल दिया है, तो उस चीज़ को एडमायर करने की बजाय, उस चीज़ से सीखने की बजाय आप उसी चीज़ के ऊपर क्वेश्चन कर रहे हो।
ओके
इसको मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा कि आप एकदम ऐसे जूते मारो किसी को, डिप्लोमेटिकली, पोलाइटली, नाइसली आप बोल सकते हो कि ये है, क्या रीज़न है। कोई अगर आपको बोल रहा है, आप किसी को बोल रहे हो, और अगर वो आपको बोल रहा है नहीं हो सकता है, आप उससे क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो क्यों नहीं हो सकता है, आप रियली क्यूरियस वे में अगर आप पूछ रहे हो कि तुम ना किस बेसिस पे बोल रहे हो, मैं समझना चाह रहा हूँ, राइट? तो अगर आप ओपन होके, क्यूरियस होके क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो तो दूसरा आपको आंसर देगा। लेकिन अगर आप इस एंगल से आओगे, तुम ना कैसे बोल दिया, मैं तुम्हारा बॉस हूँ, तुम्हारी हिम्मत कैसे हो रही है
हम्म
इस तरह से बात करने की मेरे से, तो दूसरा तो हमेशा क्लोज ही होगा, आपको कभी आंसर नहीं दे पाएगा वो ठीक से,
यस
क्योंकि आप अथॉरिटी इम्पोज करना चाह रहे हो, क्योंकि आपने यही सीखा है कि अथॉरिटी को इम्पोज, आप इम्पोज क्यों कर रहे हो, क्योंकि आपके ऊपर भी कोई इम्पोज कर रहा है।
यस
आप ले रहे हो और उसको फिर पास कर रहे हो,
यस
ठीक है? लेकिन जब आप पास कर रहे हो तो दूसरा वाला ले नहीं रहा है, तो वो आपको एरोगेंस और रूड लग रहा है, क्योंकि
ओके
आप एक जगह आप सबमिसिव हो, आप पे कोई डोमिनेंस कर रहा है, आप सबमिसिव हो जाते हो, और जब आप डोमिनेट करना चाहते हो और दूसरा सबमिसिव नहीं हो रहा है, तो आपको वो चेन ऑफ कमांड जो है वो हिलती हुई दिख रही है
हम्म
कि यार मेरे पे तो हुक्म चला रहा है कोई, मैं तो मान रहा हूँ, अब मैं किसी पे हुक्म चला रहा हूँ वो मान नहीं रहा है, तो ये आपको ये इक्वेशन ना बन नहीं रही है प्रॉपरली। तो आपको लग रहा है मैं तो दोनों तरफ से पिस रहा हूँ, यहाँ जूनियर
यस
भी मेरे को नीचे से पीस रहे हैं और ऊपर सीनियर भी मेरे को पीस रहे हैं, तो मैं तो दोनों तरफ से पीस रहा हूँ।
यस
Very well said, Sachin.
हाँ, तो फिर इसमें
वेरी वेल सेड
तो यू हैव टू रिफ्लेक्ट ऑन दिस ना, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग। तो आपको रिफ्लेक्ट करने की ज़रूरत है कि आपने इस तरह से अपनी थॉट प्रोसेस को क्यों बना रखा है, इससे आपको मिल क्या रहा है। अगर आप इसको बोलो कि कॉर्पोरेट में तो ऐसे ही होता है और ये तो ऐसे ही होता है, तो वो तो मैं नहीं मानने वाला। हाँ, ये बोलो मेरे साथ ऐसा हो रहा है तो वो मैं मानूंगा, क्योंकि हाँ आपके साथ तो ऐसा हो रहा है।
ओके
तो आपको ये सिचुएशन से प्रॉब्लम हो रही है कि आप दोनों तरफ से पिस रहे हो।
यस यस फ्रॉम द साइड ऑफ द मैनेजमेंट एज वेल एज जूनियर
करेक्ट। तो जो भी आता है आपको डंडा दिखा के चला जाता है और आपको वो चीज़ अच्छी नहीं लग रही है, उस चीज़ को आप रूड और एरोगेंस मान के चल रहे हो।
ये सचिन अल्टीमेटली अगर सपोज कहीं मैनेजमेंट से प्रेशर आता है तो प्रेशर कहीं ना कहीं जूनियर को पास ऑन तो होगा।
वंस अगेन ये आपकी थॉट प्रोसेस है।
ओके
मैं आपको इन्हीं चीज़ों के ऊपर क्वेश्चन करने की बात कर रहा हूँ। ये जो आप जिस तरह से सोच रहे हो ना, ये सोच ही प्रॉब्लम का कारण है।
ओके
क्योंकि ये कारण बनी हुई है, आपको ये सोच ही बदलनी है। सिचुएशन तो नहीं बदलने वाली है ना, सिचुएशन तो वही रहने वाली है। इस
यस
सोच को बदलोगे तो इसको हैंडल दूसरे तरीके से कर पाओगे।
ओके
जब तक सोच ही नहीं बदलोगे ना, तब तक सॉल्यूशन नहीं बदलेगा।
हम्म तो उसके लिए फिर कैसे करें? हाउ शुड वी थिंक इन डिफरेंट वे?
आई थिंक उसके लिए तो ये तो कोई एक कॉल का इसका नहीं है, बट फर्स्ट आप हमारे वो प्रोग्राम में यू हैव टेक यू आई थिंक यू शुड डू टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड।
मैंने
Me
दिया
too.
बैठे
Me
मैंने
too
भी
want to join that.
हाँ, आई थिंक यू join the program taken for granted and
यस
you do those contemplation questions in it.
यस सम पार्ट ऑफ दैट।
पूरा करो उस जर्नी को पूरा करो। टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड वाला जो है ना, वो
ओके
रिलेशनशिप्स के लिए है, लेकिन उसके जो कंटेम्पलेशन क्वेश्चंस हैं वो आपको हर फील्ड
टेकन
में
फॉर
हेल्प करेंगे।
ग्रांटेड लेते हैं पर जूनियर से कैसे करें कलिक्स? ये प्रॉब्लम तो ये होती है ना, कलिक्स मतलब काम करके नहीं देते, ऊपर हम लोगों को रिपोर्ट करना होता है, वी हैव टू परफॉर्म। और
नहीं,
दूसरा है
समझ
ना
गया मैं,
ओपनली हम
आपकी सारी प्रॉब्लम समझ गया हूँ। अब वो
ओपनली
तो
सबऑर्डिनेट को बोलेंगे ना, फिर दूसरा है ना जो पूरे ऑफिस में फिर बैड इंप्रेशन जाता है, वही फिर थोड़ा दिक्कत होती है।
श्योर श्योर श्योर। तो अभी अभी इस प्रॉब्लम के ऊपर से फोकस हटा के आई विल से
ओके
जस्ट डू द टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड वन।
ओके ओके
पहले पहले वो कर लो। अभी ये प्रॉब्लम के ऊपर ना ज़्यादा वो प्रोजेक्ट करना छोड़ दो कि इससे ये प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी, इससे वो मेरी इमेज यहाँ ख़राब होगी, मेरी इमेज। अभी तो थोड़े दिन के लिए उसको पार्क कर दो।
ठीक है सचिन ठीक है।
और यू आस्क मी कि इसका सॉल्यूशन क्या है, तो आई एम सेइंग कि इसका सॉल्यूशन एक कॉल पे 5 मिनट की बात तो नहीं है।
यस
इसका
यस
सॉल्यूशन थोड़ा सा लंबा है, और वो सॉल्यूशन ऑलरेडी टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड वाले कोर्स में हमने डाल रखा है। तो द बेस्ट आई कैन से जस्ट डू दैट।
ओके ओके
स्पेंड दैट टाइम, डू इट, गेट क्लैरिटी अराउंड इट। तो आपको क्लैरिटी आ जाएगी कि इस सिचुएशन से डील कैसे करना है।
ठीक
वो
है सचिन।
करने के बाद फिर उसके बाद क्वेश्चंस रहेंगे तो वी कैन टॉक, बट डू दैट फर्स्ट।
ओके सचिन ओके।
ठीक है, हाँ।
Yes, Sachin, same way the Pradeep is handling with that. Even I'm facing the same situation with my boss also. I'm doing
तो आप
so much, and still I have to just do it, and
करेक्ट।
she is not understanding it.
तो यू
So,
ऑल्सो डू दैट। टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड वाला आप करो, उसको कंप्लीट करो दोनों।
ठीक है, done,
लाइक
ठीक
डू
है,
इट, लाइक जैसे उसकी इंस्ट्रक्शंस है ना वैसे करो एकदम। और वो डे बाय डे उसमें मेंशन्ड है कि उसको स्पीड से नहीं करना है, वो जिस स्पीड से डिज़ाइंड है उसी स्पीड से करना है। ऐसा
ओके
जल्दी जल्दी मत करने की कोशिश करना उसको।
ठीक है, done.
तो उसमें आपको 3 वीक्स का टाइम लगेगा। तो
Okay,
यू
ओके
स्पेंड 3 वीक्स टू डू दिस, क्योंकि ये प्रॉब्लम अगर मान लो कि आपको 3 वीक्स में अगर आपकी ये लाइफ की ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाती है, तो इजंट दैट वर्थ इट टू स्पेंड दोज 3 वीक्स?
absolutely. Was very grateful
यस
to you.
यस
हाँ, तो
Yeah,
जस्ट
वेरी
डू इट।
वेरी गुड।
तो जस्ट डू दैट। आप तो ऑलरेडी ज्वाइंड योर प्रोग्राम, जस्ट डू
ठीक
दैट।
है,
हाँ,
ओके
स्टार्ट ऑन
right.
दैट एंड डू इट। हाँ, फिर
Yeah,
उसके
yeah.
बाद 3 वीक्स के बाद बात करेंगे कि
ठीक
कैसा
है,
रहा।
ठीक है
ठीक है,
सचिन।
done. Thank you. Okay.
ओके थैंक यू सचिन।
ऑलराइट, थैंक्स गाइस।
Thanks, everyone.
ओके,
Good day.
थैंks
Enjoy
एवरीवन।
the
Yeah.
Sunday.
Thank you,
ओके,
everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sachin.
चीयर्स,
Thank you,
थैंक्स,
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
बाय
Anamika.
बाय।
Bye bye.
Bye.